Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLuga. Thanks so much for being here. Friday, November 7th, and we are doing our game preview for Jaguars and Texans, AFC South Division rivals. Second matchup of the year. Jaguars looking to sweep the Texans for the first time since 2017. Jaguars 5-3 after a really, hard-fought, close football game with the Raiders in Las Vegas. Overtime win. Devon Hamilton, the hero of the game, but there was a lot of guys that stepped up in big moments. Texans are 3-5. Hasn't gone how they wanted in 2025. Point blank, period. The Jaguars are 1.5-point road favorites in Houston with an over-under of 37.5, implied score of like 19-18, 20-18, something like that. 19-17. That's where we're at with this game. Jaguars and Texans. It's expected to be a low-scoring game, and that's a reasonable take, I think, just based on the fact that Houston has struggled offensively this year, and they have one of the better defenses in football, maybe the best defense in football. So no CJ Stroud for them. Really unfortunate. But we're going to dive into this game, talk about a lot of different things. Really appreciate y'all being here. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. You can also check out GenJag.com, pick up some new Duval gear like the hat I'm wearing right now. Help support the channel, look good while doing it. So, as I mentioned, no CJ Stroud. And so Davis Mills, a familiar face for Jaguars fans, will be in the starting lineup at quarterback. That's big. Not having your starting quarterback, not having CJ Stroud is certainly big. For the Jaguars, no Eric Murray, starting safety, leader, who is on IR for at least the next 3 games. No Travis Hunter on IR for at least the next 3 games. No Britton Strange, who is on IR for at least this game. He could be back for the Chargers game. Maybe no Brian Thomas Jr., who has not practiced so far this week. Maybe no De'Ami Brown, although he did practice Wednesday, limited, practiced full on Thursday. So good chance I think you're going to see him. He has a concussion. Brian Thomas Jr., or he was in the concussion protocol, I should say. The Jaguars did report that he had a concussion on Sunday. But I guess, if he's practicing full on Thursday, limited on Wednesday, he's trending towards potentially playing, it seems like. But that remains to be seen. Brian Thomas Jr., dealing with the ankle, had dealt with a shoulder, had dealt with a wrist. It seems like a long shot for him to play. That's where I'm at. Hunter Long still has not practiced this week, dealing with multiple injuries. Jordan Lewis still has not practiced this week, dealing with shoulder. So that's tough. I mean, you've got a lot of guys potentially down, but you do have Jakobi Meyers arriving, which is a big deal. You have Devin Lloyd set to return, which is a big deal. You also have Tim Patrick. And so when I look at Jakobi Meyers arriving, everybody's talking about it. Superpower is his hands. I mean, that is true. I think when you just talk about his hands, that might kind of not paint the full picture of what he is. He's also a great route runner and a tough player and a playmaker. So that's big for the offense to have some stability. But how quickly can you get him up to speed, or up to speed enough to make an impact, positive impact on a game? I don't know. The Jaguars just traded for him this week. He arrived on Wednesday. But he's a smart guy, hard worker, very detail-oriented, very good football player. So that's going to be interesting. And then last week, you also didn't have Tim Patrick with the groin injury. He's back this week. So Tim Patrick is a player that a lot of experience in this league, similar to Jakobi Meyers with really strong hands, a bigger bodied player. Like Jakobi Meyers isn't small. He's almost 6'2", 200 plus pounds, but Tim Patrick, a bigger receiver, bigger bodied receiver, not the explosive route runner that Jakobi Meyers is, but a pro's pro for sure. So having Jakobi Meyers, having Tim Patrick, having Parker Washington still in the fold, I think there's 3 guys right there you can feel pretty good about at receiver. assuming you can get Jacoby Myers up to speed enough. And I've seen so many folks on Twitter talking about Jacoby Myers being the F in Jacksonville. Long term, that might be part of the plan. Right now, Liam Cohen feels like playing outside is much easier to onboard in this offense. So Parker Washington is going to be the F or the slot receiver, the player who is moving around the formation a lot more than Jacoby Myers to start. We'll see how things unfold in the future, but that's the plan for right now for Jacoby Myers. And so you'll see a lot of, in my opinion, Tim Patrick, Jacoby Myers outside, Parker Washington inside. That's what I'm expecting to see. And then Devin Lloyd set to return as well. I don't think you can overstate how important Devin Lloyd is for the Jaguars defense. And that's not really to slight Ventrell Miller, who is somewhat limited as a linebacker, but a really good run defender and hard effort, type of player. But Devin Lloyd just provides so much more versatility. He's a leader for this football team as well. He's a playmaker. He's somebody who can rush the passer. He's somebody who can execute in coverage with his length and feel for that a little bit better than Ventrell. He's also a great run defender. So Devin Lloyd, I think, is big for the Jaguars. And they probably could have played him last week, but they felt like the re-injury risk was higher than they wanted it to be. They feel really good about where he's at this week. And same thing with Tim Patrick with the groin. So those two guys should be like really good to go coming off those injuries. Not like, oh, maybe they can play. Like they're good to go. So that's big in my opinion. But injuries will be a major storyline for both teams. The Texans also have a number of players that will be potentially questionable or doubtful for this game, including Jalen Petrie, Titus Howard, Ed Ingram, and others, right? So, and of course, CJ Stroud has been ruled out. So Davis Mills, he's not a bad backup, and he's beaten the Jaguars a couple times before in his career. He has a lot of experience. I'm not going to bury the lead, though. The Texans' offense has been bad. It's been a bad offense. They do not have a good running game. Although Woody Marks can be explosive, their running game has really only gotten going against bad run defenses, against teams that are not executing in the run game at all. Defensively, Jaguars' run defense is the most consistent part of their game. Easily. They're allowing like 3.5 yards per carry to opposing running backs this year. Texans are not good in pass pro. And again, Titus Howard, if he can't play, he's maybe their most consistent pass protector. One thing I can say about the Texans offense, I think Davis Mills and the receivers, if they have time to throw the ball in decent situations, can probably get some yards on the Jaguars. You look at Nico Collins and Davis Mills, they've played a lot together, right? You look at Christian Kirk, he's back. I think Jalen Knoll and Jaden Higgins are two talented receivers from Iowa State, and so is Xavier Hutchinson, who's from Iowa State. He's been in the league a couple years now, and he's actually a Jacksonville guy, Bartram Trail. So shout out to him, obviously. Not pulling for him this week, but he's a good player. I think, and then you have Dalton Schultz as well, and Marks out of the backfield. So they have the receiving talent to threaten the Jaguars. They do. I like the fact that Nico Collins is their best player, and he's an outside receiver, and I think that the Jaguars' outside corners are starting to play better. I really do like that. I think that Greg Newsome getting a much larger chunk of the snaps now over the last couple weeks and playing well. Buster Brown is playing well. I'm not saying they're going to shut down Nico Collins, but can you not have him wreck the game the way a Jamar Chase has wrecked the game, the way a Brock Bowers has wrecked the game? You name the opposing superstar receiver, right? They've probably wrecked the Jaguars. But I think they are in a better spot outside. Now, at safety, very concerned, right? Very concerned with that situation with Eric Murray being down. Obviously, Caleb Ransaw out for the year. So you're looking at Antonio Johnson, Andrew Wingard. Will Rayon Lane see the field at all? I don't know. The Jaguars, though, they have to figure out how to get that spot playing a little bit better. Maybe Devin Lloyd can help in that regard. But if Jordan Lewis can't go, which kind of seems likely at this point, I do like Jarian Jones as a backup nickel, a guy who a lot of folks thought would be the starting nickel after last year. But the Jaguars went and got a leader, a playmaker in Jordan Lewis. I think Jarian Jones played pretty well last week. Certainly not perfect. He's a physical, kind of grabby, but super athlete, super tough, just feisty type of nickel. So I think he can do some things for you positive in this defense. So, I think with a backup quarterback, you want to be able to run the ball. I don't know that that's going to be like what the Texans are able to do in this game. I think they're going to have to throw the ball, and that can give the Jaguars some opportunities. Because, again, they're Texans, the pass pro, not very good. If Titus Howard, Ed Ingram can't go, even worse. Josh Hines Allen versus Ariante Ursary is a mismatch, in my opinion. If the Jaguars stop the run, which they've done in every game this year outside of really the Chiefs game, figure out how to mitigate back-breaking explosives a little bit, it's going to be a tough game for the Texans offense. And then the last couple of weeks, teams have dinked and dunked their way down the field on the Jaguars quite a bit. Can the Jaguars kind of try to eliminate that a little bit more by playing a little bit tighter, more aggressive coverage up front? And that doesn't mean man coverage. That you can be more aggressive in zone as well. And I don't think the Jaguars should get into this contest where they're just in man all the time. That's not going to be to their advantage. On the other side, the Jaguars' running game has been good basically all year. That's one thing you can hang your hat on. I think Trevor Lawrence is playing a lot better. I think, Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, Tim Patrick. Can you live with that? Yeah. Would you like to have Travis Hunter? For sure. Would you like to have Brian Thomas Jr.? Absolutely. BTJ has been very up and down. I think Travis Hunter's been good when he's been targeted a lot. You might have, right now, can Jacoby Myers be more consistent for you than Brian Thomas Jr. has been? I think the answer is probably yes. Is he going to be as explosive or, be able to do some of the things that Brian Thomas Jr. can do physically? No, but can he run the right route, be where he's supposed to be, catch tough passes, all those things? I think so. So that's going to be interesting to see. But the Texans defense, it's legit. They came out in like bear front, 5-man front a lot against the Jaguars in week 3, which was a unscouted, kind of unexpected wrinkle. They'll probably try to bring some little bit of unexpected wrinkle this week as well. They're super talented pass rushers. Azeez Al-Shaair, even though, public enemy number 1 in Jacksonville, he's a good player. You look at their secondary, I think that their pass rush combined with their secondary players is the best in the league. Kamari Lassiter is unbelievable. Obviously, Stingley is unbelievable. Kalen Bullock, a really good player. They've just got really good secondary players all over. Now, Jalen Petrie is somebody to see if he's going to be able to go or not. It seems like it's trending in the wrong direction for him from a health standpoint for this week. But again, we'll find out more on that later. The Jaguars figured out how to run the ball in the second half against the Texans last time they played. Can they run the ball more consistently for the entire game? I think if they can, that will bode well for them as well. Pre-snap penalties, drops, the occasional WTF moment by Trevor Lawrence, the occasional MA coverage bust, whatever you want to call it, on defense. These things have really been what's holding the Jaguars back from being a team that could potentially be. I mean, the Jaguars could be 7-1 right now. I think that they probably should be 6-2. But these are the things that are holding them back, as we mentioned. And you will see a familiar face in Matthew Wright, it looks like, kicker, who helped the Jaguars end a 20-game losing streak. It's hard to... That's insane. The Jaguars at one point lost 20 straight games. Yeah. Matthew Wright. Texans have had injuries at kicker. So Matthew Wright, former Jacksonville Jaguar, UCF Knight, looks like he's going to be getting the call for the Texans at kicker. And, speaking of kicker, can Cam Little continue with what he did last week? Can Logan Cook continue what he did last week? Like, Logan Cook got a punt down inside the 5. He also had an unbelievable hold. Cam Little set the record for the longest field goal in NFL history and, was perfect on the day. And so, yeah. Can you continue that? Can you clean up the kick coverage? That'll be a big deal. Do you have the ability to handle all the Texans receivers? And I'm not saying shut them down the entire game, but handle them to the point where you can hold them to a minimal score, because it's going to be hard scoring points against their defense consistently. We've seen that throughout this year. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. We will have bold predictions. We'll have matchups to watch. Might have a little Josh Hines Allen episode. I don't know. In the next couple days, maybe next week. But really appreciate y'all being here. Have a good one.